Shouts, welcome back to Motion RC Live. It is Friday for you, but this is actually a beautiful Tuesday. Today we got gorgeous weather, barely any wind, and if it does come though, it's coming cross. But we thought it was perfect, stemming off of last week's show where we had Patrick in studio teaching you all about crash course in aviation there.
Ooh, poor choice of words.
Poor choice of words. An info course, if you will, on aviation. We thought it'd be great to do a follow-up, and we want to do more of these. So we'll definitely release this as a separate video because we're going to be out here. Patrick's got 4 packs, and we'll see what it takes. You're just going to touch and go, right? And just talk through some of what, you know, obviously everything you spoke of last week is stuff you're doing in your mind as you're flying RC, so we just hope you're gonna talk us through, you know, these landings.
I'll just try to kind of talk about what we talked about last week, you know, where I'm looking at visual points around the pattern, really, I guess specifically more on the jet too, and maybe we'll talk about some pour points too. I'll let the nose drop, let it get fast, go long, talk about all that stuff and say, well, this is where I messed up here, and you can see this is what doesn't fit, and I'll say, okay, this is what it should look like, nose in the air, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and we're using the F22. You got the 6S version, right?
Yeah, 6S.
The 6S F22, just stock everything in there, so thought it was a perfect, and again, as we said in last week's show, I believe the F22 to be one of those almost trainer-like jets, but it looks awesome, and it should be perfect to demonstrate what we're doing today. So I say we get started. Alex, I'll take this camera since we're live. We're gonna be on 2 cameras. I'm gonna hold this one because I'm gonna try to stay wide. If you remember, Alex, you're on that camera, so sync them up. If you remember, last week we spoke about point of reference, right, Patrick?
Yep.
So you were saying you use this white pole way out in the field we got there. We put that there for us, or is it something out there for someone else?
I think it was for something else, but we've just used it as a visual marker in the field to say, don't go beyond this point, because behind those trees, that line of trees there is a house or homes, a neighborhood. So they're part of an HOA. So we use that pole as a reference as don't go past that and stay within inside the tree line, which goes back to what we were talking about last week about how I have to stay a little closer and a little higher than the average approach would look like in that 3-degree glide slope. So I have to, you know, get slow and descend at a high rate. So we'll do some of that today, and we'll talk about that.
That one graphic we had was like down leg, base.
Yep.
You know, final. Those would be 3 separate things, but ours sort of all melds together.
You gotta have to make it one long, right? Exactly. Yes.
Everything melds together. But Alex, you're down there.
I'm ready.
He's gonna be in close on the aircraft, and I'm gonna be right next to you.
Okay, I'll taxi out then. So I will try and not Bob Ross it up and talk a little louder.
Yeah, definitely.
So right now, I've actually got a takeoff flap setting. So what I have on the airplane is a trim setting and an elevator setting that I can apply the power, and the airplane will roll down the runway and rotate its nose on its own. I don't have to touch it. The airplane will rotate and climb away. I always say, never ask an airplane to fly. Always let the airplane tell you when it's ready. So if I've got a trim setting on it and a flap setting ready for it, the airplane will naturally come off the ground and lift off and go away.
Yeah,
so we'll see if we can make a nice, smooth, pretty takeoff here, and if not, well, then we'll try it again. All right,
Sounds
so
good.
A little bit of a crosswind as we started up here, not too bad, but I'll put in a little bit of crosswind controls as we do it. Power's coming in, taking off, right, left. There's that crosswind pushing, and there's that nice, gentle climb.
That was you not holding anything?
That was me not holding anything. I just let the power take the airplane into the air.
So you were just rudder controlling it on the ground.
So actually, I flipped the gear up out of habit. We're going to let the gear come back down. So right here, I'm letting the airplane move towards that white pole. There's my white pole. I'm going to make my turn, right? I'm going to go back to full flaps, and now I'm letting the airplane sink and settle. I'm staying inside that tree line, getting to my visual marker of the V. There's the V. And as I get to my glide slope, I'm going to hold right there. I'm going to hold that nose up. Power. And airplane go back around.
You could take that landing if you wanted to.
Yeah.
That's inherently, guys, what a touch and go is, right?
So there's your high alpha right there. You can see the nose up in the air. And again, my white pole, I'll cut my power back, let it start to settle, right? I haven't changed anything else. All I did was reduce power. I'm going to reduce power even more, let the airplane sink heavy, and then catch that power right there to stop that sink. And just let it sink all the way in, flare.
Again, like we said last week, that's one of the key things that, you know, I think beginners need to hear is, remember, thrust is lift, right?
That's right, yeah, I'm switching.
Throttle's lift.
So right there, you see how high the nose is in the air?
Yeah.
I'm high alpha, even on the downwind. So I'm cruising in a high alpha position. If I want to go lower, I just reduce my power.
So now that speaks to you where you say your line, right? You're flying straight in that high alpha.
That's right, flying straight. Now I'm flying in a descent in the high alpha. So I'm letting the airplane sink, got the power all the way out, adding the power back in to catch my glide slope, just a touch. And a flare. One of the things we also talked about too was picking your landing point. So I'm generally aiming for the first 100 feet of the runway. I'm not going to be so specific as to try to get the airplane touchdown on the X. I'm just aiming for the first 100 feet. So I'm going to use that white pole as my 45. So there's my white pole, there's my 45. Once again, reducing the throttle. Watch as it sinks. Haven't changed anything else. Catching the glide slope that I like, add the power, touch back in. Nose in the air, nose in the air, nose in the air. Ready, flare, touchdown. Power in. We go.
Absolutely gorgeous. Now, is there anything you feel in the sticks or anything to let you know that, oh, I'm too slow? Like, can you see something in the aircraft that might predict I'm going to stall right here?
Well, let's try it.
Oh,
let's see if we can get a visual on being too slow. So I'll go high with an intentional go around. So I'm going to go slow. I'm going to idle power. I'm going to let the nose come up in the air. Now, what I'm going to look for is watch the nose. Watch it's going to get higher than the tails. Higher than the tails. Oh, too slow power. Go around. Let the nose drop and go around.
Wow, it's so subtle.
It's subtle, but what I was looking for was that nose to continue to climb away from that maybe flat and level or just up vertical position, and watch for the speed of the airplane to slow. Because remember, now pitch is airspeed. So the higher your nose in the air, the slower you're going to go. Let's try it one more time. I'm going to go idle power. I'm going to let myself get slow. Nose up in the air, too slow, power. Put the power in. Now to recover from that, what I'm also doing is I'm not just adding power, I'm also letting the nose drop a little bit. Because remember, pitch is airspeed. So I'm adding power so I don't sink, and I'm reducing pitch so I speed up.
Gotcha.
Let's do another one in here. Just letting the airplane sink, letting the power come out, nose in the air, add a little power back in, woo! And I could hold that power like that all day long. Off we go.
I guess that's a scary bit too, just slow flying in that high alpha position. A lot of guys love, do that on purpose.
Sure,
They're purposely high alpha because
Sure.
it looks cool.
It
like
looks super cool.
Because it looks cool, but you think like as long as you're in the proper setting, your plane's flying straight. Obviously, wind variations and stuff could affect you, but for the most part, you should be good to go.
Yeah. I'm just making modulations and power out, get glide slope I want, nose back in the air, power in, nose up, and power. Up I go. Now some airplanes do that really nice, like the F-18, the Freewing F-18.
Yep.
Does a really nice easy wheelie, barely any back pressure, and she just holds her nose all the way down the runway. Well, I got a 30-second call on this pack. Why don't we call this one a full stop on this one?
Sure.
So again, power out, get in the position I want, modulating that throttle to manage that descent rate. Descent rate I like. I'm pitching up to slow the airplane down, and then idle power, flare. Now I'll use a little bit of air braking with my elevators. I've got them up in the air to try to help slow the airplane down. But once I get slow enough, I'll go flaps up, and that's it. Done for that pack.
Awesome. I think we do another pack just so people see it, because that was about 9 minutes into this live video. So we're going to replace the pack, and we'll be right back.
Awesome.
All right, so we switched packs now on Flight 2. Patrick, we did a lot of, that was slow flight, talking about the attitude, nose up, getting that high alpha position, but now you wanted to speak a little bit what we spoke about landing too hot, right? A lot of guys sometimes just too hot when they come in.
Right. So that kind of visual transition where the guys want to land the jet like they land an old airplane, where they let the nose drop and try to point the airplane at the runway and then land as they go down, which, anything is possible.
Yeah.
But you're making more work for yourself, right? Because now you've got a lot of speed that you have to dissipate all the way down the runway. Yeah. So maybe we'll do a couple of that. We'll let the nose drop, we'll let the airplane get quick, and then I'll have to dissipate the energy, and you'll see how long the airplane will go before it touches down.
Yeah, then you probably have to taxi around to take off, though, because you're not touching.
Maybe we'll go around, maybe we'll see. We'll see whatever happens.
We'll see how it goes. I love it. Take it. We are ready to rock and roll.
All right, I'm going to taxi
Alex, sync up. So what you're seeing is live on that camera with what's happening here. What a day.
This is nice. Although we're starting to get into that Georgia warm weather, huh?
Mm-hmm. I'll take it.
You take it. So again, I've got the flap setting set for the airplane to rotate on its own.
Yep.
And I'm going to go ahead and take off right to left. Looks like we're nice and clear, taking off. Thank you. I did it again. Put the gear up. I got a bad habit. Put the gear up. Nope. Put it back down. All right. So I'm going to get the airplane set up to land with the flaps. So we'll let the airplane slow down a little bit. And then I'm going to try to land it like a straight wing airplane. I'm going to let the nose drop. And in order to do that, I got to have the power back. Look at the nose is low. Nose is low. Nose is low. I got tons of energy. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Lots of energy.
Yeah.
Lots of energy. What am I going to do? Holy cow. Oh, go around. And you see, I went halfway down the runway before I touched down, and I was really working hard to slow the airplane down.
Yeah, and you gave it power, which almost slowed you up to touch.
I did, so I wouldn't drop out of the sky. So again, here's my high alpha, nice and slow, cruising, nose in the air. Ooh, a little balloon there. Nice patch of warm air. Get to my pole, start my turn. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to let the nose drop. I'll let the airplane get fast. Nose is drop, nose is drop. Airplane still fast, still fast, still fast, still fast. Oh gosh, I'm trying to land hot. Oh, now I'm idle power. Oh, halfway down, go around. So you can see how trying to manage the airplane's energy by letting the airplane be too fast on the approach is a lot more work.
A lot more work.
It's going to put you way down the runway. So let's try one more visual again. So I got my nose in the air, nice and slow. Nice little patch of warm air pushing me up there. White pole. This one we'll try to shoot for a more normal approach. So the nose is going to stay in the air. Reduce the power. Let the nose stay flat and settle. Once I get to the pitch descent I want, power back in. Power all the way in. Working it first 100 feet. Power. Off we go.
Love it.
Let's see. What else did we talk about that we could do in
Well,
this
you said
basic
the
flight
flaps,
here?
right?
Yeah,
like,
let's do some flap deploy.
Like
so
ballooning is not always attributed just to your flap setting. Could be your airspeed, right?
So I'm going to put the flaps up and the gear up. We'll get the airplane going in a normal configuration. And then on the downwind, I'm going to be at more than half throttle, and I'm going to deploy the flaps. So we're cruising at normal speeds now, right? And then I hit the flaps. Boom.
Flap.
Boom.
Whoa!
And all that was just I was too fast for the deployment of the speed, right? So let's try that again at a slow speed. I'm going to put my flaps back up, gain back up to normal speed.
Now, do you have an elevator mix too?
I do, and I have a slight.
So even if you're too fast, doesn't matter what mix you got.
Exactly, it's gonna balloon.
And then you can, when you're trying to trim that out, you could correct for something wrong.
Right.
That's not an issue.
So now I'm gonna slow the airplane up. Now I'm gonna deploy flaps. Didn't move.
Didn't move.
Now I can do gear.
But now you can manage that airspeed.
Didn't move.
Better.
That's right. I can manage the airspeed, right? I'm gonna throw the full flaps out. Didn't move. It's about speed, right? Now we can set ourselves back up for another approach. Nose is in the air. Close to the trees. Hello.
You can never tell.
Woo, power. And off we go. And let's talk about maybe taking away the lift too, right? So I'm slow, right? Here I am. Now if I just dump the flaps, take them away, watch. Whoa, watch it settle.
Yeah.
That's why you never want to do flaps first. It's always power then flaps.
In any situation.
In any situation. Always add your power first. So I got my gear coming back up. Let's do one more deploy at speed and watch what the airplane does again. The gear's going up. Flaps are up. Coming through. I'm half throttle. And I'm going to go 50% flaps. Woo! To the moon. And you can see that last time it didn't do that.
Yep.
So I'm going to leave 50 flap in. I'm going to put the gear down and let the airplane start to slow down. Gear's coming down. Do my in the brake pass. Nice and slow. I'm still at flaps 50. Gear's down. I'm going to go ahead and add flaps 100, but because I'm slow, not a change. And let's make this one another right to left. So I'm high now and close. A little higher than I want. Power's all the way out. Trying to get her back down to where I like. Power's where I like. Drive slope is where I like. Power back in. Flare. Boom! No flare. Navy landing. Well, and there's a good example of I didn't flare enough.
Yeah.
The airplane had a high descent rate, and as I pulled back the flare, it was subtle. I didn't apply enough flare, and because I didn't apply enough flare, she didn't arrest that sink rate quick enough, so it just kind of boom, sat down, which is okay for you Navy guys. Those Air Force guys and our dainty feet don't like it. But yeah, good example of how under flaring the airplane will just let it sit down.
And too many of those, then you're replacing gear.
You're replacing gear, and you know, if you do that high descent rate and you're on grass per se, right? Now you have a high descent rate with bumpy ground.
Yeah.
So you have a high descent rate, and the first thing you do is hit a hole.
Yeah.
You'll rip the gear right out, you know. So it's better to be sweet and gentle on your airplane. These don't have Navy gear.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. What do you think?
That was awesome. I love it.
Okay.
I wish we could have live speaking. So if you're listening to us, like, we can't hear the live chat here, but maybe on Friday if you could be in the chat with us while while people are watching
Post
this.
some comments, and maybe we can try to answer some questions as we go. You know, one question that we can answer right here, right now. It's a little different from talking about the airplanes, but I saw it in the live chat as I went back and took a look. Lewis Sharp, our buddy, asked about prop settings on airplanes at idle speed.
Okay.
It was something that he and I always talked about, and about assisting with that approach, right? With the propeller-driven airplane, you want to have that blown air going across your control surfaces, right?
Yeah.
When you're flying an electric airplane and you go to idle throttle, usually you go to a no-power scenario where you're windmilling the prop, right? And that windmilling of the prop is actually creating a lot more drag on the airplane, right? Because all that's is the wind pushing that spinning prop around. What I like to do actually came from kind of the nitro idea, nitro days. When you go to idle throttle on a nitro airplane, it doesn't stop turning. The prop continues to spin. So I like to actually set that up on my electric airplanes. I like to have an idle throttle setting. So when I turn it on, the props instantly starts turning like the engine is running and stays at a very low, subtle RPM. And what that allows me to do is while I'm on the approach, even when I go to idle throttle, I'm not creating a ton of drag with that prop dragging the airplane slow. I'm actually giving myself a little bit of wind over the control surfaces and keeping that momentum all the way through the turn. So something I just wanted to add to address Lewis's
Well,
question.
I think what that talks about is we got to get out here with a Warbird and some prop planes and redo what we just did in that setting. But I think for now, for this part of the live video, Patrick, thank you so much, sir. I'm holding the camera while I'm doing that. Thank you so much. What?
No touching.
No touching.
Oh, sorry.
No touching.
We'll take it back. We'll take it back.
We
took that back. Reverse.
You didn't see that. We'll blur it out. You will blur it out. But I guess now we go back to the studio and talk about something entirely different. Thanks, guys. Hey, pilots. Welcome back in the studio. So thank you, James, for throwing it back to James here. And we got a chance to go out on Tuesday with Patrick, meet up, and he brought his F-22 to sort of piggyback off of last week's show. And as I just said there, I think hopefully this week, if we get more great weather, Patrick, I know, has a few Warbirds, so we want to do the same thing. Maybe next week we'll do a Learn to Land Part 3, or in one of the upcoming live shows, where he does it with a Warbird, does it with a prop plane, same types of techniques to show, some good and some bad tendencies that hopefully just makes you guys, it helps me out. That's what Patrick basically did with me when I was getting into EDFs. I was flying a lot of prop planes before I started with motion obviously, into the EDF, so I had to learn, and Patrick was standing there right with me when I got to CCRC, and he does that with a lot of people at the club, and he really enjoys it, as you can tell. I mean, he loves aviation in all aspects. That's why he's a real pilot, makes his living doing it, and we couldn't thank him enough for the information that he can provide. And as I said last week, that whole PowerPoint presentation I did last week, I'm 100% working on it. I just got to change all the graphics because those aren't ours. So I wouldn't want to release that as a Motion RC thing. So I'm just going to remake the graphics and his information, and then we'll get something out, and I'll let you know probably on the live show where I'll post that. Probably be on Hobby Squawk as well as Facebook and numerous places where you guys can download that. And then like he does, that whole PowerPoint presentation from last week, he just prints that all out, and that's what he gives. So you can use that at your clubs. If you have training, nights like he did at the CCRC Art Club. So just all around great information. I hope it helps you guys out. I know a lot of you guys already know how to land, and but you never know. Somebody comes up on this video months from now, years from now, that information will still hold true unless technology changes somehow. But is that Patrick in there now? Yeah, Racer. I think that's Racer X.
That's Patrick.
There he is. So if you have any questions for Patrick, he is there right now watching, so he can handle that. And if you guys noticed this week, we're experimenting. So I've always had my dream for this live show was to make it a show, you know, like obviously some weeks we'll go over the hour, but I want to make it like you'd see any show on television or anything. And I thought the sidebar was something I see on like ESPN, news channels, things like that. But I always think it's a great way you tune into the show and you say, what are they going to talk about? Or if you come in halfway, you could see where we might be, you know, in the show. So like, you know, right now we're at Learn to Land, and pretty soon this is the rundown, because you know, if you notice on Motion RC, guys, we're coming out with a lot of new products in all different categories. So every show is not going to be 100% about one thing. We may do 15 minutes on this, 15 minutes on that, 15 minutes on that. So, you know, a tank guy might not care about the plane thing, and so on and so forth. And also, when you watch the replay of the show, you could scrub through, and that red bar, that red slider, will slide with the show, so you get a chance to see it. And we hope it didn't take up too much real estate. I think you still get a good idea. You know, if they do it on big TVs, I'm sure it works here. But as you can see in front of me, guys, I've got the Zero. I started working on it on Monday. I've got the wings now finished. So in the Black Horse update down here, there it is. Black Horse update here. We'll talk about this, and we have more other Black Horse updates. But first things first, we have 1 week left for the crash contest. So you have one more week to get your submittals in. We've got a ton of submittals already. So remember, we're going to have 3 prizes. And next week's show, I'll announce what the grand prize could eventually be. I'll announce what the runner-up prize will be and what the random draw prize will be for the show, because then the following week, so June 19th, is when Alex is going to put together, we'll have picked our probably 25 finalists, and we're going to release a YouTube video, and that's where everybody's going to vote on that grand prize winner. As you see each video come across, there'll be a number and the person's name, and all you're going to do in the comment section of that video on YouTube is pick a number. That's it, you know, and then we'll count who gets the most numbers, and then the following show, which I think is the 26th, that's when we'll announce all the winners. But next week's show, since it'll be the last day of submissions, we're definitely going to do 20 minutes probably on just all around watching some of these and reacting to them. So I think that would be fun, because who does, you know, it's always terrible to crash, but if you film it, that's the best thing about it. So let's show a couple of the entries that we've got. Again, we've got Miller RC with a Pitts. Very, very sad, but it happens. That looks like a linkage went off. I would assume an elevator linkage just fell off.
They give us a close-up here, I think.
And, oh, man, that is rough to see. Now, can they hear that video? No, they can't, so they're just hearing me. Right, but, you know, those crashes are just not what you want to see. But you always say when you have a crash, it's always better to have it on film, so at least you could say, here's what it looked like. That's why every time I customize an aircraft, I always take pictures and try to get as much video as possible, because the inevitability of these things, sometimes it just goes bad. Next one we have here is from Jigs, and this is a Bf109 Fatality. Anyone used to play Mortal Kombat at the movie theater arcades know what a Fatality is. And let's see, so they're not hearing him. Yeah. This is the first time I'm seeing this one, so I'm excited. Alex is gathering all these up, and you know, going all right.
Solid hand launch, right?
Hand launch a little too too high. Oh my goodness, that's dangerous. I don't know why you would throw it at 90 degrees. That's rough. This one looks familiar. We were there. Alex and I would have definitely been there on May 12, 2016, but probably not. We might not have been at the noontime demo that year. I can't think in my head when I saw a crash at the noontime demo. Maybe it wasn't at the demo.
I remember hearing about this crash.
Well, a lot of times we see flames coming from the big spot. A turbine or a gasser goes down when you're at the electric line. You just see fire, but, oh, is this a midair?
Yeah.
Oh, no! It almost looks like they were trying to. It looks like, why was he slowing up?
They slowed down for us here.
Yeah, he started bobbing. That's rough. And who is this? This is
from...
Oh, I don't have his name in there.
It's from someone... It's on Facebook.
It's on Facebook. Yeah. We'll get their names. But, oh, man. Oh, is that the Black Horse DO? I don't know how many, unless somebody custom made a DO, obviously, but oh, wow.
All right. And
Oh, man. Wait, let it finish.
yeah, I'm gonna.
Oh, that's when two pilots just stand there and look at each other.
Yeah.
And one just feels really, really, really bad. And the last one we'll show today, Avanti versus Tucano. We got a Tucano now in Black Horse, I believe.
This is from Brapa D.
Bra Papa. And let's see what happens here. Oh, man.
They're hanging out there having a good time.
Dave, I hear you about the dough, man. That's one that I wanted, but those odd planes, the oddities, seem to sell quicker when they come out. Like, I want the JU-52 from Nexa, but they're moving too fast. I don't want to steal our customers.
Oh, cartwheel.
Oh, that's rough. I had an accident this week with my Hawk. Similar, not as bad, but I landed and was halfway on the pavement and the grass and just bent my grass a little bit, bent my wheels a little bit, and, you know, it happens, but that, terrible to see, but always fun to do. I mean, that's why we want to do the next contest, whatever it will be after this. I think we'll just have some fun. It always makes for good fodder to see stuff like that, because if you're not crashing, you're not flying, and, you know, you always have some fun with it. So that ends Crash Contest Update. I feel like Vanna White. Moving over to the Facebook community, going around, we have a couple posts where we saw Victor and Jeremy Solt. So Victor Shamulis, who is always in our live chat, I think he said he had to go back to work, but him and Jeremy Solt straddling the Avantis there, they were both in Model Aviation this week with their custom AL-37. So we all remember Jeremy Solt did the 4-engine KC-135 tanker, which is awesome, and he always flies out there with his son. We got to fly with Jeremy at Joe Nall and Kyler, and that kid is an absolutely incredible pilot. For his age, just gets better and better. And Victor as well, great guy, and he did that Mango plane, and that was definitely, both planes were nominated in our March Madness contest. If you remember, I think they went pretty far, but they didn't end up winning the day. But you know, always good to see that and to see them getting called out in the magazine. And then in the middle, who submitted that one?
Rudy
Villarreal?
Villarreal.
Villarreal is how I would pronounce it. And that looked like an Avanti festival. So love seeing stuff like this, especially now that, you know, it looks like we're getting back to reality a little bit in the sense of being able to get outside, back to field. So it seems like social media is starting to pick up with less build stuff and workshop stuff and more actual flying. So always good to see that, guys. Keep sharing in Facebook. We love to see it, and, you know, answer questions. Love seeing how the community helps people. You know, like at least in our Motion RC customer community, you know, I try to eliminate anything that, you know, gets out of hand. But for the most part, majority of people are great in that community and all the communities, guys. Remember, we have Motion RC customer community. You have EDF Jet Clubhouse, which Victor is the runner of. There's so many more. People can drop them in there. RCAAA, there's Balsa ones. My favorite is SAD, S.A.D. That's the Society of Aircraft Demolishers, because that's where all the crashes go. So that's a fun one to always jump in if you're feeling down about your day. Jump in sad, and that'll make you happy. But that does it for Facebook. So heading over to Hobby Squawk, because guys, obviously, you know, Squawk is growing by leaps and bounds now that we have cars on the website, tanks, obviously the helis, the airplanes. A lot of these communities are coming together in Squawk, and we couldn't believe the amount of people in there is growing day by day. So we're going to start with Papa Boozer, who got himself, well, him and Wesley, if you know the Merry Boozers RC channel, Papa Boozer is going to be building that Taste of Texas, or Touch of Texas, Nexa P47 that we released recently. So they got their hands on one, and I think he did a live unboxing on his channel on Sunday, this past Sunday. So if you want to check that out, they do the entire unboxing. They're great production over there, Lori, Wes, and Papa. And it looks good. I can't wait to get my first Nexa. I definitely have one coming, and we'll talk about that a little later. But these planes look awesome, and again, just adds their different variation to the bigger Black Horse stuff. You know, we got man, I mean, now it's amazing what a year will do. I don't think a year ago today we didn't have any Black Horse, or we probably did. Black Horse probably is a little over a year with us now, but, you know, we went from not having any balsa.
We just had the Fairchild at this point.
We probably
Maybe
just got
DC9.
that. Because we had the Fairchild built up for that and all.
Yeah.
That's when we first got it out there. But either way, good to see. And then we also have Ultra Vargan, who I like. He's doing a custom King Tiger tank, and he's going to do it in the same way as Alpha did his. So, I mean, you guys, anybody who loves to do any sort of modeling or painting, if you don't even want to drive an RC tank, they are fun as static displays, and they barely cost, you know, what you'd expect them to cost, or at least in my end. Like, I just picked up, we got more stock in, I picked myself up a KV1, because I just enjoy sitting here at night sometimes, and, you know, and just airbrushing them, or detailing them, while you're watching a movie or something on a rainy night. It's always fun to do that, and then actually driving them around is just as fun too when you get a bunch of people. So I can't wait to have my first real tank battle when that comes out. But that'll do it with Squawk. So let's move on to Instagram. And there we go. So Instagram shoutouts, TCat RC Creations. He got out with, it looks like him and a friend, with their T-33s. Got some cool shot. Hard to get pictures.
Bravo, TCat.
100% TCat. Like, to get two planes in view, in camera, you know, whoever took that picture, good on them. And then you have somebody who had a free wing flight line fest.
It's Jets and Wings.
Jets and Wings RC. There you are. And with the L39, which, it's funny, I love the camo L39, but I still love the white one. I don't know about you, but I don't mind the white one at all either. So, awesome. And we got some more Avantis. That might have been wonder if that's the same day.
Right, just the alternate angle.
Yeah, like an alternate angle of the Avantis that was shared on Facebook. And then a custom F-18 in that Canadian demo scheme, I believe that is. From, what does that say? RC... Frodegal. Frodegal, I believe he's in Germany. It's a model flute club, and we were in Germany,
Yeah,
and if you've never been to Germany, we got lucky enough in the past to go to a few RC flying fields there, and the rolling hills in Germany just make for endless background views. Like, always, if you could ever get a chance to fly in Europe, because it always looks fantastic. I just love the background. Everything about that shot was awesome. So, can't beat it. Jansen Herring James, how is it, brother? Got the 37. Wow. Awesome, man. Love it. How are you? Flightline Dora, Pete? Yeah, Flightline, I love the Dora, but it's funny. Occasionally you get, we get customer service tickets on certain planes, and some people say, oh, it doesn't, that plane doesn't fly good or whatnot. And I'm like, I love that plane. I love the Dora. I love the little mini Mustang. It's not on my walls over there. Both of them are on the side there. Love those aircraft. I love belly landers.
From Sweden, not Germany.
Just as I love the big ones. He's from Sweden. From Sweden. Sorry. My fault. And Jets and Wings is here, saying hi to everybody. So that's call out on some of our Instagram guys. And also, I will say on Instagram, Alex, we shared. Follow Alpha, guys. Alpha.makes on Instagram. That is the first time he's ventured off Hobby Squawk to an actual. The AI was able to get onto Instagram now, and he posts he posts content that, he told me, I could send you these pictures of post motion RC, but I'm like, you're right there. It's Instagram. It's supposed to be instant. So, he posts a lot of behind the scenes stuff that is just awesome, and obviously the stuff Alpha can provide in content-wise is fantastic. What's up, George? George Baker in the house. Tired Iron Aviation. Had a few of his pictures of his helis from about, what was that, 3 weeks ago now? We were up in Tennessee. Did some flying with George. Good to see you here. And now is it time for the Black Horse update, I think. So we'll move on. It's only 12:35, so see, look how fast I went through. I talked too fast. We got to get more content to fill the show. I was hoping my boxes are arriving. I got a tank on the way, and I got the Tiger Moth from Nexus. I was thinking I might have done an unboxing, but I'm probably going to save that till next week to do an unboxing on that. But Black Horse update, guys. So I think we start with the Spitfire. So, yeah, I say start with Spit. Does this have sound?
It's low.
It's low. Okay, so if you guys remember, episode 2 of this live stream, so 19 weeks ago, we unboxed this Black Horse Spitfire, and I gave it to Jason Miller. He's a member of the CCRC. He's like resident gas guy. He was president of the club. And he had it built up for a while now, but with COVID and everything, we couldn't get out there. But finally, he went out to break in the NGH motor this past Sunday. So I went out to the field, just me, him, and another guy were there. And all he brought was a Spitfire just to break in the motor. And it sounds fantastic. So this is the NGH, I think. This is a 4-stroke. This is the 4-stroke. This is the largest one we have, the largest engine we have on the site currently. But bigger ones are going to be coming for like this big Zero I have here, which is 15 inches wider, wingspan larger than the Spitfire. But it sounds fantastic. But he went through the paces for about 30, 40 minutes. He was out there and checking the RPMs. So he was following what the NGH motor instructions are. So he was revving up. I believe it was like something like 3,500 RPMs. Leave it there for 15 minutes, and then go up to 6,500 RPMs for 4 minutes, then bring it back down. And this is something that I hope to learn. I hope to eventually get a gasser and take it through the course. But it's awesome to have it on the website. I always enjoy seeing the gassers. Nothing's more pleasing than seeing these big gassers, especially when you go to shows like Joe Nall, and even some guys at our field have them. But when it comes to that, electric's still my thing, my bread and butter, I guess. But I would not mind giving this Spitfire a go. And the goal here is, we hope to get out this week, if not next week, to finally maiden this thing. So he ends up doing some taxi tests, but overall, he was impressed with the NGH motor. He said it turned over right away, no issues. His biggest issue was, if you see on top of the motor mount, everything was shaking up there, so the motor was like cutting out at certain RPMs, but they were tuning it, him and another guy, and he's just going to go in and further lock those things down. And I think he already got it sorted after that day, but he ends up taking it out for some taxi tests, and it looks gorgeous too. I mean, it was fun. This is the first one of these newer Black Horse models, the Warbirds, like the Zero, the P40 that I unboxed, and the Spitfire, where the riveting detail, the coverings. First time I've seen one in person, built up and moving around. So it's absolutely, he's in love with it, obviously, because he's living with it over there. But we can't wait. So we're going to be heading out to a real airport, actually, because it's probably, I think you'd be able to fly that at our field. But it's still, it's a little tight at our field with the size and maybe the speed this would provide. But we're going to go to a real airport that the guys there fly RC, and they're going to welcome Jason and me, and that's probably where we're going to eventually maiden the Zero and that P40 we have once all these go. So, look out for that. That's something me and Alex are excited to get out there for. I just can't wait to... I hope he lets me take a pull in the sticks, at least if it's in the air. I guess he has to, right? We kind of sent it to him. I got, I'm happy with my spot.
Might not be happy about it.
I'm gonna take the flight line spit out a couple times. I think I'll take it out this week just to get my bearings on flying a Spitfire again. But in the air, Warbirds fly great. And yeah, here's the taxi test. So we went out there. The only thing he didn't do that day was fit the cowling back on it, but we're gonna do that. We're going to have Jason talk about everything he did here, about this test. Because I filmed about an hour of footage that day, and we're just showing you 5 minutes of it. But he's going to talk through all of that. And, again, this is the first time he had it out and ran it up. So, any issues he had, are going to be worked through. But that's why you go out and you test it, Test it first. Make sure it's running well. And he really knows his stuff. He's a good dude. So, moving on to Zero update. Before I get to mine, I'll show you around mine. Alex can show. We did see on the comment section. Remember, guys, when Motion RC, when you buy a product, we really appreciate it if you guys can run in and review it. Not right away. Obviously use it first before you give stars. But I happened to be on the Zero page and saw that this guy's at Austin C. He posted a video, so he put this same Zero together already and put on what kind of, I forget what motor he had on it, but he has a gas. He put it on gas, and this is the first time I'm seeing this model myself actually fly. So I'm you know, I can't wait to get this up. Because, again, I'm going electric with the one in front of me. And maybe eventually we can convert it to gas. It's easier, I think, to go from electric to gas than it would be to go back from gas to electric. But, you know, to see this baby fly, take off, like, this is his video on his YouTube channel. He only had, like, 10 views on it. You know, he's not a YouTube influencer or anything, just somebody who enjoys sharing some videos, and I was happy to see it. It looks like, you know, from what Wesley Miller keeps telling me, Zero is the type of warbird that is a good trainer warbird, so it should pretty much, you know, land and take off a lot easier than other warbirds. Like, you know, I know a Spitfire could be tougher to land because of the gear and stuff like that and the stance, but, you know, from what he says, even with the gas, he's impressed with how light the overall plane is with everything in there. So, you know, that's what he wrote in his review. So I'm happy to see it. So if Austin, I don't know if you're watching this, but, you know, this is, it looks fantastic, Alex. I can't wait to see ours rocking and rolling with some slow-mo passes. Oh, yeah. With big 93-inch span. Like, I'm just so excited. Working on this week was just a lot of fun. Oh, I see somebody saying they're going to copy Jeremy's tanker. By all means. Oh, and Tony Jensen's here. Guys, if you check out the Gilmore page, Tony's got the Black Horse Gilmore, which was a model I saw years ago in the Netherlands. It's a gorgeous Black Horse model, too. I love the way that one looks, and it's all his pictures on our product page. So I don't know, Tony, if you're ever going to get out, if somebody could film you, you know, video-wise, or if you got video, would love to show that. That would be fantastic. And Michael Lane, MRC needs a good foam Zero. That would be sweet. Yes, I totally agree. I definitely think now that the OV10 will be next, you know, the foam OV10, I hope that some of the next flight lines are more 1600 millimeter single engine warbirds, because, you know, they're like collector bits. Like, now have to have the Spitfire, have to have the Corsair, but we need some adversaries. You know, got to have some adversaries in the air. That would be the best. Thank you, Tony, if you can. So now we're on the table. What I was going to do is, you know, show you again a bit of what we did. So, you know, again, with balsa models, it just takes time. If you've never built or assemble, I can't call it a build, but if you ever assemble, you know, an ARF and you get a Black Horse one, I'm impressed. I've done a couple of them now. I'm always impressed with how everything's packaged and everything comes out really nice and everything fits. You know, everything fits well. Obviously, when you're doing your flaps and, you know, the hinging, that's the scariest bit for me, is the hinging, because once you mix the epoxy and you start working, you can't stop. So, I had a kid crying upstairs and said, "You gotta wait, I got epoxy going," and, you know, it's rough. But right now, so far, I've got my aileron flap on, I got my ailerons on, I got my flaps. Let me get my servo tested. And we can do that. And I got the gear installed, so the wings are virtually finished. Once I get them obviously fully completed, then I'm gonna adjust. Like right now I have no idea if I'm fully centered. I'll probably have to make servo adjustments and things like that. But let's do the flaps. So we got our servo tester. I'm just so excited about it. I've got the high-tech, which ones? I have the HS645 MGs. So, let me turn it around. You know what? Let me turn it around fully. I'll show it this way. Whoa. And Wesley, if you're there watching, man, can you share that paint that you said I should paint? Last night I was talking to Wesley, and he said there's a certain color I should paint the inside of the flap that comes in, that'll work, but I'm excited about this.
Whew. That's nice.
I love it. I don't know what I'm going to go with the eventual, finish as far as receiver and things like that. Tonight, after the show, I'm probably going to get started hinging up the fuselage, because that's the next step. And then let me show you the gear. So this one, the gear is electric retracts that come with a lot of these Black Horse kits. So I just have this, and this is the controller. So you get an electric retract landing gear controller that requires its own power. Now, I don't know if I can, and Alpha could say, I don't know if I could power up through the receiver to this, or if I'm just going to run a separate pack. This is the only pack I have actually with this, just to test. So it wants 7.4 volts, but this is a 4.8. So just one cell, but it worked enough to, open and close my gear so I could test. But through this, I love that you can test. So if you're plugged in, you could just drop the gear without having to fully plug in the aircraft if you wanted to. And then if you had air brakes, you can plug them into here. If you had sequence gear doors, you could plug them all through. So think of it as like an MFCB board, like a blue box, but just for all things related to the landing gear, which is kind of cool. So something I've never worked with before, so I'm not entirely sure what to do with it once I get it going, but I figured out enough to get it to drop the gear. So let's just pop this into anything. Again, check our polarity. And I hope I have enough battery power in this. Last night when I was finishing this one up, the gear was going a little slower than I think it would when it's fully powered, but here we go. So you just hit the test button. Oh. Look at that. Boom, and it just fits nicely. So let me unplug quick. But you can see, they are stout gear in there. Nice suspension struts. I epoxied on the wheel well, cut a little hole, routed the wire. Actually, little details. Like, I don't know. I'm sure some balsa models have it, but I don't think I saw this on the Fairchild. But, like, I love this little pocket. You put the servo through and then route the wire up so everything's nicely tucked away. Like, that's just laser cut in there. It's like little things like that you just appreciate when you're starting to put this together. And what I do love, like I've said it when I built this, when I unboxed these, and when I built the PC9 others, they do a great job. Everything you need is in the bag you need for the step you're doing. So just take your time, and they even say it in the manual, like, pay attention here. And you're wondering why, and then as you start doing it, you're like, oh, yep, gotta just, nice and slow. I think the one thing I'm learning about these balsa builds, like anything else, more time in the preparation, than actually doing, laying out everything. Make sure you have, like I had isopropyl alcohol and rags ready when I'm about to epoxy, get all the hinges. I put, like Vaseline on every hinge, get that all set. I put them all in and measured the hinges and marked them off to where, after the dry fit of how it's going to fit well. And then once you mix that epoxy, don't race. Like, I use 30-minute epoxy for the hinges. I use like 5-minute epoxy for this stuff because I could just sit there and hold it, to hold the wheel well in for like the light covering. But like 30 minutes on the epoxy, and then just once you get it in, you have plenty of time to move it around, adjust it, make sure it's good, and then you move to the next step. And just do one thing at a time and enjoy it, because it's going to be such a, that PC9 was the first time I ever assembled a full ARF. Took it out to a maiden, successfully landed, and it's like, wow. So I can only imagine exasperating that to a plane that when guys build a plane from the start. So I'm seeing some questions here. Jason, what glue should I use to attach plastic to EPO foam? I would use foam tack or CA. It depends. But I think the foam tack, like the glue that, whether you're using regular foam tack, which I have up there, or even the glue that comes with the free wing kits, or most foam kits, is going to be more than enough. So that should work there. But you guys have any questions about this one? Because I'm excited to keep working. I should have it built up. The only thing I'm waiting on is eventually, if you see on the website for this page, we have a big motor coming in. It's a 60cc equivalent motor for the fuselage. Oh, you can't even see the fuselage over there, but he's lining up. But it's a 60cc equivalent electric motor that we're getting from Admiral. So as soon as that comes in, that's when I'll have it finished off. But I'll be able now to at least get it all built up to the point of needing the motor, and then we'll finish it off. I had it sitting there since I unboxed it and just never had the time. And this week I took about, I would say I'm probably 8 hours. Probably 2 hours each day I was doing bits and pieces of it. I'm about 8 hours into getting the wings, but that's also because the first wing you do was a lot slower than the second wing. It's like, all right, I know what I'm doing now, and I got the second wing done in one night, where I did this over the course of like 3 nights. So promise to show the maiden no matter what happens, come on. I mean, if I crash it, Alpha's only going to tell me to show it more because of the time it took. But I'm not nervous about it. Having flown now a lot of these bigger models, bigger's just flies better. Like, I have no reason to believe, unless I do something terrible, like not properly CG it, which I'm sure I'm not going to do because I'll have a lot of people there. But I really have no... The only thing I might be nervous of is a nose over on the landing. You know, something like that. If I just... But I don't see why I'd do that. You know, I'm not nervous at all to fly this airframe. Certain planes I do get. And I'm more nervous to fly some EDF jets than I am to fly prop planes. I really enjoy flying the props. Like, true to my heart, I like warbirds the best. I just do. You know, if I'm going out to the field by myself, I'm bringing my Corsair, I'm bringing my Flightline Spit, I'm bringing the Tiger Cat, or I always have one of those with me because I enjoy having those 8, you know, things. Sunny Shah, what did I miss? Well, yes, so you ask. This was our show rundown. Right now, we're updating on Black Horse, and these are some of the things we did. But the lead off of the show, the main segment, was with Patrick Croasdale, who was on our show last week in the studio with us. Major Patrick Croasdale. He was out with his F-22 on Tuesday, and he took us through a lot of what he spoke about last week and was showing guys, you know, good things to do in landing a jet and things you want to not do in landing a jet. So you can always go back and check that out when this show's done, because look at that, 12:51 already, 9 minutes.
We gotta get through this last one.
So either way, though, guys, I'm so excited. And then what else do I have? Yeah, nothing really else to show out of the boxes there for the Zero, but yeah, I'm excited to get it finished up. The instructions are fantastic, and yeah, you guys are definitely going to be there with us. Maybe something like this will be what we try, because Alex and I want to experiment with bringing this show out to the field live eventually. I think that would be fun, because anything can happen when you're live. You can't hide it there, so that would be awesome. But maybe something like this would be a worthy subject to do. So again, look how big. One more time, like, it's gigantic. 93-inch wingspan. You know, I'm 6 foot, so that's crazy to me. This will be the biggest aircraft by far that I ever fly once we're ready to go. You know what, I'll drop the gear, then we'll go to the next subject. So again, these are just, you know, get your polarity on there. You can power up with the tester. So I don't know, what do you guys think? Should I get a receiver that powers this? Has anybody used one of these electric? Can I do that? Can I have this lead? Well, no, because I guess, yeah, just sort of like attached to an open port on the receiver to get the 7.4 volts. Or should I just be powering this up separately with, you know, a separate battery and then, you know, powering in? Because I've never worked with just a landing gear MFCB before, so I haven't gotten that far yet. But I assume I want to use separate batteries for everything. So I'm thinking separate batteries for my control surface is something this big. You know, just have the main battery. Power the box. Jansen, that's it. I'm going to power the box, and I think that's that. It's better to have all that separate. You know, we have that in the Fairchild, I believe, just the aileron stuff. So if you lose power, and we did, me and Wesley had a power cutout. We at least had our control surfaces to, you know, to give ourselves that last prayer, you know, last prayer dead stick. And with a Zero, I hope, you know, again, that's not going to happen. I'm going to successfully fly this thing, land it, and maybe sell this eventually, because we're running out of space in the studio. So some of these models aren't going to be able to live with us forever. But that's awesome. So guys, real quick to the next, I think it's time. Black Horse now done, now in stock. So this will be, again, a lot of these sections are going to change on the left-hand side of the screen, but new in stock this week, guys. If you saw those, I released the video of the Air Titan. We had some fun with that. Mercury video coming soon, and I'm looking for a pilot at my field who can fly the Revolution, because I'm not a 3D pilot, so I can't do it justice. But look for those videos. All 3 of those new Skynetic planes are now in stock. So yeah, you could pick those up, and the prices are awesome on these things. Like, even in the Air Titan video, in my head, I thought it was around like $259. It's only like $229 for a 1600 millimeter wingspan Fun Cub. I mean, it's great for a beginner, and it's great for somebody who's more advanced. And if you want a large size, good looking airplane that won't, you know, that won't kill your budget, she's awesome. And she has a lot of features, like, you know, if you wanted to tow a glider, more than enough power. She can handle it. And again, that size is just awesome. And eventually, I believe we'll get the floats in stock because the V1 had a float set. So I'm sure that nothing changed there. Once we get the floats in, then it's something you can also bring to the lake. I enjoy. The next time I'm actually going to take it out, and Alpha had sent me some, you know, just to test some larger tires. So I'm going to put some bigger tires on that beast and give it another go. Not that I think it'll matter, but I think it'll look even cooler. Something about the gear on it, I don't mind it because I like weird stuff. You know, it looks crazy raked forward, but I like that stuff. I don't like, you know, I don't like things to be generic looking. I like it with a little flavor. So those are there. Oh, and then if you guys saw in the email, cars. Alpha's in the chat. Welcome, Alpha. And Team Corrali, we have 4 options. Our first 4 RC cars, they are 6S powered 1/8 scale beasts. I believe there's 3 off-road trucks and 1 buggy. So anybody into these, I have not driven these myself, but I hope to maybe get one. But again, this is where something for everyone. So we will, you know, we're excited to have these. These things look awesome. This is footage that was shared with us by, I guess, Team Corrali. And, you know, we're editing their footage to eventually pop out a video, but it's awesome. They look fantastic from what I could see on the website, you know, and I'm sure Alpha and our product team did their due diligence, as they always do, bringing in new brands and stuff to make sure you guys are getting a great product for the price. So right now, their spare parts are available and everything, but these things look like, you know, beasts that you can bash around. They look durable, and, you know, they're backed up by Motion RC. So excited to now add this type of surface to the tanks. We also got tanks back in stock, and my goodness, some of them went out of stock before, almost before they came in stock again. I grabbed myself a KV1 this time around, but guys, you gotta hit that notify me back in stock for these tanks. It's unbelievable how popular they are, and you know, we're happy to see it. But again, it's a new product line for us, so, you know, we need that notify back in stock to help us with the orders, to make sure that when orders come, we have stock in. But we have some tanks now. We're out of stock fully, but we still have a lot of, you know, certain models in, but some just flew out right away. So, you know, if you're not hitting the notify me back in stock button and not checking that, or waiting for your email, or grabbing it as soon as you see them, you know, then you're going to miss out. These things are awesome, so I'm excited to get working on another one. I like the KV1 because it's about the Sherman size, so it'll be fun for me and my son to, you know, it's easier for the kids with the shorter barrel. If you're driving around the tanks in your house, you put them with a long barrel, they might hit, you know, might hit the walls, and I don't want to break my tanks. So the shorter barrels are perfect because that's less likely that they're going to happen. So I had to pick up one of those myself. So we are at 12:57. Guys, do you have any questions? And also any comments? What do you guys think about this? Is it something that you mind? Do you mind, you know, it does take up takes about 1/8 of real estate to do it, but I don't think it, you know, takes away. I mean, this is sort of what you're used to seeing. I think everybody's used to seeing on TV shows around, and I think it's, again, better to, you know, see. But what we're figuring out is, what can we put down here? This section down here, like Alex had thrown my name, we put the starting soon in there, but we were looking like, what can I write? Because, you know, as we said, right, like when you shrink this video down a little bit, you can't, we were going to not have that at all, but then you get a black bar down there.
Or
so
you cut the sides off the video.
Yeah, or part of me ends up behind, you know, this part of the video. So this is, you're getting the full image that the camera shows in this section, but, you know, down here. So I'm wondering, like, do we put, you know, I don't know, do we put advertisements for people there? Do we put, I don't know, what should we put? You know, anything you guys want to see, jump in the squawk. We have a whole, you know, we have a whole section dedicated to things you want to see on this show. So, and I'm taking that into, you know, into account. I definitely read it, and it's just, you know, it takes a little while to implement. Rolling highlights on the bottom, maybe, you know. Again, it does take effort. Obviously, there's a lot more effort into producing the show when you got to do this, because now we got to know much more in advance what we're going to be talking about. But, you know, going forward, I think every show you're going to see, unless I have like a Patrick in here and the whole show's dedicated to, let's say, just learning to land. Like if we did this last week, this would have been each section of what we were talking about with him. You know, so it's always going to be different. Sometimes there might only be 3 or 4 things there. And, you know, we want some things to be consistent. Like we love calling out people on Squawk. We love doing all that stuff. You know, this show's always about you guys. It sure ain't about me. You know, it's about what Motion RC sells and about the people who enjoy it. That's what, you know, that's what we do it for.
Speaking of, we got one more call out that came in late.
Oh, Dave Kowishki. I almost forgot you. Dave Kowishki. We spoke about an hour ago. He told me he got out with his T-33, which is back in stock, the USAF version. So he sent me the raw footage about an hour before the show started, and Alex cut up a little minute bit. So, David, if you're watching... Ooh, I almost forgot. Because it came in... He got me. Got you, Dave. And I asked him, is it Call Wishki or is it Cal Wishki like Superman? And he said, it's like Superman. Kal-El. Cal Wishki. And great. Just, you know... He's all over everybody's streams. Just
I'm gonna turn
loves
the
to
volume
share
a little
stuff.
bit so people could hear this crowd at the end.
Sure. Oh yeah, he had a buttery maiden landing. Ooh.
Oh man.
So he said he's editing that video, and he has his own YouTube channel, and he's gonna edit that whole up. He does a whole bit at the beginning, showing you where his CG is. You know, doing what we all do, trying to give as much information as possible, but spectacular. Dave, I think you grabbed your T-33 on the first batch. You just haven't had a chance. Probably weather. I think you guys you're in a bad weather situation for your for the winter seasons, and then COVID obviously probably closed you down from flying. So it's great that you finally got out there with it. I actually haven't flown my T-33 in a while. I got the Camel one up there, but you get busy with other things. Like, you got to do other things first. So next week, as I said, guys, if I can get out with Patrick, we're going to probably do another Learn to Land section where we do it same thing with Warbirds. But if not, you'll definitely be seeing this bad boy, which is the KV-1. I was going to hopefully one part, maybe 15 minutes, take this thing out of the box, show you a tank. This is one of the few tanks on the initial release that we actually don't have any video of. That was the only one Alpha couldn't do. He did all those videos at the factory there at the time before we release them, but so we'll be doing that here. And then also I have this bad boy coming, my first Nexa and my first World War I plane. So I'm stoked. I've always wanted a World War I plane. I 100% wish we did a World War I foamy line, but I can wish as well. But I'm excited to have seen this jump on our website, so I jumped on it, the Royal Navy. So next week, whether depending on what happens, hopefully I'll have that laid out on the table in front of me, because it should be arriving today. It might be outside right now, outside the studio, but who knows, because I'm on with you guys. But I'll be excited to put that one together. And for what Wesley tells me, because he's been putting together that P-47, saying the Nexa models go together a lot quicker. So, that's awesome too. I don't mind a quick construction, especially after doing this one. So this is like the labor of love with the Zero, but this just might become my new favorite aircraft once it's ready to go. I have a feeling it's going to be, just because of the way it looks. I'm so excited. But guys, look at that. An hour flies by super fast, so I'll throw it out to you guys one more time. If you got any questions, John Olson, got the Leopard, has no recoil when fired. Why? Not every one of them has barrel recoil. But if you're saying it has no recoil at all, like the actual body recoil, check. There's 4 different settings or 5 different recoil settings, right, Alex, on those? So make sure you're looking in the manual, and there's a recoil on the transmitter. Push the button. If it's not working at all, then obviously maybe the portion inside your tank, that could be faulty. So you want to call customer service. But maybe you're just on the off setting, because you could turn the recoil off. So maybe it's just off. Because you could have 3 different settings. You could have huge recoil. You could have minor recoil. There's different options there. Dave said he got it in the first batch. Yeah, thanks, Dave. It was just funny that, he Facebook messaged me, and I'm like, throw it over. We're putting the live show together. So we got it in there. I told you I'd get it in there, and Alex did it well. We're quick. Jets and Wings, you guys have some great airstrips over in the U.S. I know, but so do you guys, too. I was around Europe. Like, there's some beautiful spots to fly there as well. But you got to work with what you got. I love my airfield. I love the runway, but I do wish those trees were gone. So it's always nice to, you know, when you go to like a Joan Allen, you have all the open space where you could actually do a downwind base, turn, and do the entire landing straight on is easier than having to, you know, fight around there. But Patrick makes it look so easy. So guys, again, thank you so much for joining us. I think that does it. Not seeing too many other questions in there, but I'm going to get working on the fuselage. So next week, I'll probably update you on that too. We can walk around the fuse on that Zero. And as I said, that P-42 that I unboxed weeks ago, that is now in Patrick's hands. He's going to get that built up for us, and that one's getting the 60cc NGH motor that we have coming eventually as well. So that's something else to be excited about. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions about the format, anything you think I could add in this section, leave comments, hit the like button. That always helps. And anyone who needs to learn how to land a jet that you know at your club, you know, share this video with them. That's all I can ask. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this Friday. Have a great weekend. Hope you all get a chance to get out and fly. And we'll see you right here next week at Motion RC Live. Thanks, guys.